The Zenthari Military Academy stood like a gleaming blade on the twilight horizon of Kravax Prime. Its walls were alive with technology, discipline, and pride, producing the finest warriors a Galactic Accord had ever known. Alien cadets from 23 member species marched in perfect lines, wore uniforms that pulsed with biometric feedback, and trained in war simulations so advanced they bordered on prophecy. Among the Academy's polished floors and echoing halls worked a single human. He didn't wear armor or bearer rank. His uniform was plain gray, slightly faded. No one ever saw him eat. He never sat at the mess hall or rested in the communal spaces. He arrived early and left after everyone had gone. They called him Janitor. Just Janitor. No one knew his real name, and he never offered it. He cleaned with silent precision corridors, training pits, blood-soaked simulation chambers. He moved through the academy like a shadow cast by duty itself. Everyone assumed he was a relic of charity or politics, perhaps a human war orphan given pity placement. Cadets gossiped in passing. One said he'd been there for 100 cycles. Another claimed he was part of a failed exchange program from Sol. Most didn't care. To them, he was background noise, and that suited him just fine. But not everyone ignored him. Cadet Sira Valari was in her 3rd year and already marked for command. Tall, feline-eyed, with skin like iridescent pearl and a mind sharp enough to wound. She had watched the janitor for weeks. Watched how he moved. Too quiet. Watched how he never flinched when explosives rocked the floor. Watched how he vanished before anyone could get too close. One night, during field decontamination training, a malfunction caused a toxic burst in the vent system. Before Sarah could react, a containment shutter dropped, and she saw a blur. The janitor. He crossed 30 meters in a blink and ripped the shutter open by hand, letting her escape. His grip twisted titanium. She saw his forearms flex, corded with strength no human should have had. She tried to thank him. He didn't speak. He only nodded once, then vanished down the stairwell with his cleaning cart. That's when she really started watching him. His daily path crisscrossed the entire compound. Storage bays, waste processors, old simulator halls long since condemned. She hacked into his shift logs and found them incomplete. He was active in sections that had been listed as sealed for maintenance over a decade ago. She pulled surveillance logs. Several hours were missing. Scrubbed clean. She brought it to Instructor Mock, her ethics advisor. He dismissed her concerns. Humans are obsolete, he said. Harmless. Focus on your real studies. The next day, her access was revoked. That night, someone left a message scratched into her personal console. Watch what watches you. She didn't sleep. The next cycle, she followed him. She wore civilian garb and timed her exit. He didn't acknowledge her, even when their paths crossed near the lower barracks. In the disused weapons vault beneath Section 9, she found him standing still, staring at the wall. Light flickered from a cracked fixture. He rolled up his sleeve. That's when she saw it. A tattoo. Black ink. Faded but unmistakable. A skull inside a triangle, with 2 wings made of blades. Her blood turned to ice. It matched the forbidden symbol in pre-Accord War archives. Project Revenant. A human bioweapons unit that had been erased from history. Denied by every faction. Never mentioned in public record. The file she'd stolen described Revenants as one-way soldiers, made for suicide missions. No extraction. No survivors. He turned, slowly, not with alarm, with certainty, like he already knew she was there. You shouldn't be here, he said. His voice was deeper than she expected. Not rough, measured, like gravity had given it weight. I saw the mark, she said. He didn't deny it. Who are you? I'm a janitor, he replied, and for a moment she believed it, until his left eye flickered. The iris shifted color, briefly glowing red. She stepped back. He didn't follow. Forget what you saw. Walk away. You'll be safer. But she couldn't. She asked about Revenant, about the human wars before the Accord, about why someone like him was mopping floors at a war academy. He looked at her for a long time. You really think they'd let one of us go home? The way he said us made her breath catch. You're not the only one, she whispered. He said nothing. just picked up his mop again. As he passed her, she asked one last question. Why are you still here? He paused. Because someday, someone will come looking for what's buried here. And when they do, I won't be the first to know. The next day, the janitor was gone, replaced by a sanitation bot. Cadet Sarah filed a silent report to the Grand Council's intelligence arm. She attached the image of the tattoo, encrypted and labeled human asset, unknown classification. Her report was flagged, then sealed. 3 weeks later, she was approached by a masked figure in a cloak, an agent of Section Black. They offered no name, only a phrase. You are now under observation. From that day on, she never saw the janitor again. But sometimes, late at night, she would wake from dreams of fire, of men in black armor, walking through storms, of earth shaking under boots, of a human cleaning blood from alien floors, quietly waiting for a war everyone else had forgotten, and always, the skull tattoo staring back to smoke. 2 solar cycles passed without a word. The janitor became a rumor again, a figment. Cadet Sarah Valari requested information through 6 separate channels. Every inquiry returned the same message. Position terminated. Individual not registered. It was as if he had never existed. Then came the breach. It began with a low pulse through the outer perimeter, too subtle for automated defenses to register. Moments later, all 27 surveillance drones monitoring the orbital drop zone went offline simultaneously. Cadets were mobilized. Instructors activated battle protocol. Yet, no alarms blared. No declaration from command. Only one message echoed silently through the restricted channels. Containment failure, Vault 9. Do not approach. Vault 9 hadn't been mentioned in decades. Sarah didn't wait for orders. She moved quickly, armed with only a pulse sidearm and her field kit. She descended through the old transit tunnels, now rusted and overgrown with forgotten tech. The access doors were melted open. Inside, the air was wrong, heavy with static and something older, something metallic and burnt. 7 bodies lay in the corridor. Not cadets, not staff, outsiders. Their armor was unfamiliar. Dark silver plates covered in glyphs she didn't recognize. One still clutched a detonator rigged to a canister, labeled in a dead language, SOCOM Omega. Then she saw the scorch marks on the walls, burn patterns that looked too precise. Human-made, plasma signatures matched records from extinct Earth arsenals. But no human had access to such weaponry, except one. Sarah pressed deeper into Vault 9. The lights flickered, then died. Emergency power kicked in, casting a dim red glow over the floor. She passed through a collapsed blast door into a chamber that hadn't been touched in 100 years. And there he was. The janitor stood in the center, surrounded by dismantled attackers. His shirt was torn, the Revenant tattoo now exposed across his neck, extending down to a series of numbers along his spine. He held no weapon, yet 3 corpses lay at his feet, necks twisted, armor punctured. You shouldn't be here, he said again. You're the only one who can stop them, she replied. He didn't answer. Instead, he walked to a panel in the wall, placed his palm against it. It hissed open, revealing a cache of gear that should have been museum relics. A black combat suit, a sealed pulse rifle labeled Revenant 13, and a curved combat blade forged in pure carbon steel. I told them it wasn't buried deep enough, he muttered. What are they? She asked. Scavengers. Mercenaries. Hired by someone who knew what this place was. They're not the real threat, just the first wave. As he suited up, the artificial skin on his chest peeled back, revealing hardened muscle reinforced with nanowire. Not a full cyborg. Something else. Something designed for war, but never meant to return from it. You're a weapon, Sarah whispered. He looked at her, not in anger, not in pride, just quiet understanding. I was a stopgap. Earth built us when treaties failed and diplomacy was a joke. We weren't made to live. We were made to end things. But the war ended. Not for us. The floor trembled. Another pulse. From the surface came the sound of thunder. No weather system, but kinetic orbital strikes. The enemy had arrived. The Academy was the target. He moved with precision, bypassing vault security, activating systems no one knew existed. Hidden rail turrets emerged from the walls. Deep subroutines buried beneath the Academy's network responded to his voice. Sarah followed him. She watched as he restored control to sections the Accord had long since abandoned. As cadets screamed over comms, begging for direction, he stepped into the command void. No one officially handed him authority. He just assumed it, and the systems obeyed. The attackers were no longer mercs. They were professional, controlled, coordinated, armed with suppression codes, and keyed to Academy weaknesses. They weren't here to destroy. They were here to extract something. "What are they after?" she asked. "Me." "But why now?" "Because someone told them we were still alive, and they want to erase every trace." He led her through bypass corridors and restricted defense networks. At every turn, he was 10 steps ahead. Not a janitor, not a myth, a tactician, a survivor, a human weapon still unfinished. In the heart of the Academy, chaos erupted. Alien cadets tried to hold the lines, but were outgunned. Instructors fell. Drones malfunctioned. One command post reported friendly fire. Troopers suddenly turning on their own. Someone was spoofing signals. Sarah transmitted a system-wide override from a sealed node, but it was blocked. "They're using a mirror AI," she said, "copying our defenses in real time." "Not copying," he replied. "They built it, based on our ghosts." He activated a dormant sub-AI called Ashleyer. It didn't exist in any Accord registry. It was brutal, direct, and completely unchained. When released, it hijacked all atmospheric drones and began precision strikes across the enemy lines with zero collateral restraint. In 10 minutes, the tides turned. In 15, the enemy was retreating. Not defeated, recalculating. He knew it wouldn't last. "We need to seal the core," he said. "The planetary core?" she asked. "No, the original Academy core. The one built by humans before the Accord remodeled it. They descended into lower levels no one had entered in over a century. The path was mined, corrupted with decaying power fields and automated traps. But he moved through them like he remembered every detail. I was stationed here once, when the Accord began absorbing human outposts. This was one of the last. You stayed behind." "No," he said. "They left us behind." At the final door, Sarah's scanner shut off. EMP field. He placed his hand on the scanner. It hesitated, then blinked green. The door opened. Inside was a chamber of ancient design, pre-Accord Earth, concrete, steel, flickering screens. At the center was a cryopod. Occupied. Sarah stepped closer. The person inside was human. Female. Wounded, wired to a med frame, but alive. Her rank read Revenant. 1. "She's the last," he said. "Of your kind." "No, of the original project." She knew something the Accord buried. "What is it?" He looked at her, not with fear, but regret. "Humanity didn't join the Accord. We infiltrated it." She stared at him, not as conquerors, as insurance. The pod began to unlock. Her vitals stabilized. "She'll tell them everything," he said, "and they'll come for her." Sarah stepped back. "Then we protect her." He handed her the pulse rifle. "No, you protect her. What about you?" He turned toward the tunnel where echoes of war grew louder. "I mop the floors and take out the trash." Then he was gone, back into the corridors, back into the fire. They came before dawn. No warnings, no prelude, no open comms. Ships uncloaked in orbit, engines burning black against the red sky. Not standard military vessels. These were Ghost-class skirmishers. Illegal, silent, built for only one purpose: assassination without evidence. The Accord denied involvement. Cadets scrambled to defense positions. The Academy skies were filled with fire before anyone had a chance to aim. Sarah stayed underground, guarding the cryopod. The woman inside, Revenant 1, had not spoken since awakening. Her eyes tracked every sound, every flicker of movement. Her hand, always close to the neural override port embedded in her wrist. She didn't eat. She didn't ask questions. She just listened, You don't remember me, do you? Sarah asked. The woman's voice was hollow but steady. You're not part of the project. You're part of what came after. What does that mean? It means you're not the target. The ground shook. Above, the janitor, still unnamed, still unranked, fought alone. The enemy knew exactly who he was. Their formations were tight, their calm silent. They sent genetically optimized warriors, each one a mimic of ancient Earth super soldiers, but none of them were him. He didn't move like a soldier. He moved like a storm. Instructors who had once dismissed him now clung to defense bunkers, watching feed lines in disbelief. Who is this? One whispered, voice trembling. The answer came not from Sarah, but from Revenant One herself. He's the last hammer. Earth's contingency against betrayal, against the future. The enemy tried to contain him, deployed side scramblers, null fields, even AI suppression spheres. But he adapted. Every time. Every kill was cleaner than the last. When his rifle failed, he used the blade. When his blade dulled, he used the enemy's own weapons. He was never out of options, because he was the option. And slowly, Command realized this was an academy under attack. This was a purge, not of information, not of tech, of one man. The Accord had buried the project for a reason. The Revenants were never supposed to survive. They had been built for total war, for extinction-level threats. But peace had come too fast. The Accord couldn't control them, couldn't understand them. So Earth erased them from record. Those who wouldn't be retired were offered one final mission: disappear. He had chosen to become a janitor, until someone saw the tattoo. Down below, Revenant One turned to Sarah. There's something you need to see. She exposed a data shard from her suit lining, inserted it into the vault's terminal. A map appeared, an interstellar network of dormant nodes, hidden bunkers, derelict stations, each marked with the Revenant symbol, each locked until now. These are your caches? Sarah asked. The woman shook her head. There is. The map pulsed. Data awakened across 23 systems. Instructions rerouted. Defensive AI routines thought extinct, reactivated and queued for new command. He's initiating the protocol, Revenant One said. He's calling the fleet. But Earth's fleet is gone, Sarah whispered. No, the fleet was never Earth's. It was his. In orbit, satellites blacked out. Accord ships trying to reposition were ripped apart mid-maneuver by weapons they didn't see. Autonomous systems emerged from abandoned moon caches. Drones shaped like nothing the Accord had ever sanctioned. Angular, human in brutality, but far more evolved, moved in perfect synchronicity, obeying a voice no longer bound by treaty or code. He stood on the roof of the academy, plasma fire searing past him, and said one word: reactivate. The sky changed. A fleet blinked into reality. No warp signature. No beacon trace. Just mass. Real mass. Old Earth warships, retrofitted with tech forbidden by the Accord. Full point cannons, coil mass drivers, and sentient targeting arrays. The last ghost of the war humanity never finished. They had been waiting. Above, panic erupted. Accord vessels tried to retreat. Too late. The fleet opened fire. Down below, the transmission leaked. Sarah's datapad lit up. Messages flooded in from Accord academies across systems. Who is this? What fleet is that? Why are they protecting the academy? And finally, one message from the Accord High Chamber. Shut him down. Whatever it takes. The janitor received it too. He stared at the message, said nothing, then deleted it. A general of the Accord fleet opened a private channel. His voice was cold, calculated. You're a relic, Revenant. Stand down, and we will not erase the academy. No, came a reply. I am the academy. Then he ended the channel. Inside the command center, Sarah stood with Revenant One. Why don't they just nuke us? She asked. They can't, the woman answered. Not until they know how many more of him there are. And that was the final card. Fear. Because now the Accord didn't know who was Janitor, who was Legend, who was Background, and who was Earth's Ghost. The battle turned. Not with numbers, but with purpose. Cadets rallied. Not just human. Alien. Syrah's bunkmates, her instructors, her rivals. They saw what a human could be, what it meant when a human chose not to run. One cadet, alluring it with her arms and failing lungs, shouted into the comms, "You mocked him for mopping floors. He's the reason we're still alive." The echo of that spread, and something broke in the accord. From internal channels came unrest. Officers refused orders. Ship captains hesitated. Why were they killing a man who saved the station, who summoned a fleet not to conquer, but to shield? The Accord's silence cracked, then collapsed. From within the high chamber, a single message was intercepted by Revenant 1. Protocol terminated. All field operations suspended. Do not engage human asset. She turned to Syrah. They're backing off. But the janitor wasn't done. He descended from the roof, armor scarred, eyes unchanged. Not angry, not proud, just done. Syrah met him at the base. They stopped the attack. I know. They want to negotiate. No point. What happens now? He handed her a small shard. Within it was every code, every system, every secret the Accord had buried. It's yours now. Why me? Because you didn't flinch. He turned away. What are you going to do? Keep cleaning. Syrah watched as he walked back into the shadows of the academy, past wreckage and smoke, past wide-eyed cadets who now understood what they had seen. Not a myth, not a ghost, not a soldier, a human, one they would never forget.